Hello and good afternoon. This is Joe Hoft. I'm filling in for Dr. Maria this week, and I appreciate the opportunity from the doctor. She contacted me over the weekend, said something had come up, so she wasn't going to be able to make it. Asked if I'd fill in, and of course, happy to do so. She's a real warrior and a hero in this effort to share the truth and to push out the truth to all you and to all of us. And I really appreciate her and Rudy Giuliani, of course. And so it was not even a hard decision to say yes. Happy to be here. So many of you remember the Joe Hoff Show on this very channel. It's great to be back. It's great to be back on Lindell TV and to fill in for this week. Really honored to be here. Always honored to be on Lindell TV from the start. Always felt very welcome and loved the show, the production, and many of the hosts on this network. They're just some of the best people out there. Emerald and Rudy and Mike and everybody. So it's great to be back. Thanks so much for being here today. And I've got some news. We're going to start off with an event that actually Rudy Giuliani and Dr. Maria will be at and will be participating in. We've got a big event coming up in a couple weeks in Las Vegas. We're calling this the Vindicated event because of all the information that came out here recently. It's like, man, we are proven right again. And we've got a heck of a lineup. It's August 9th and 10th in Las Vegas. We're having it at the Ahern Hotel. You'll see some of the great guests there. General Mike Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, Roger Stone, Christina Bobb, Dr. Gold, Mike Lindell, Wayne Allen Root. Wayne lives out there. It'll be nice to see him. Mike Davis, Attorney Peter Tickton, who's now working on the Tina Peters case. David Clements, the attorney, has done so much work on election integrity, Jim and I, and many more. So really looking forward to that. You can get your tickets. You can go to joehoff.com. I have a link and a story about it today at my website. And then we also have it up at the Gateway Pundit. You can go there and get information on it. Go to the website, America First dash. I'll have to get that back to you. I always forget the second half of this name that we have for this event. But go to Gateway Pundit, go to joehoff.com, and you can go get links then to get tickets to this event. Also, now we've got a live stream set up too. So if you can't make it there physically, you can still watch the event. It's going to be pretty much all day on Saturday, the 9th, and then the morning of the 10th. Should be a great time both days. So really thrilled about that. That's coming up, and appreciate you supporting us in any way that you can in that event. That'll be great. Like I said, Dr. Maria, she's gonna talk, and Rudy Giuliani. As a matter of fact, we're going to give a special award to Rudy Giuliani at this event for just being, I think, one of the greatest icons in American history, one of the greatest statesmen for sure, and certainly of the modern era as well. Just an incredible hero. We saw him work during the 9/11. He was incredible, just incredible. Time Man of the Year during that period of time. Him and actually George Bush did incredible work too. So be a real honor to be with these guys on that weekend. So appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. We've got a special guest, a couple guests tonight on the show here with Dr. Maria. Our first guest came out with some breaking news today. He's a good friend, and he's a great American, a great patriot as well. From the state of Arizona, he's also a senator. Mark Fincham came up with this information. He shared with me. We've also, I believe it's up now at the Gateway Pundit, but it's a story. If you could pull that link up real quick. I started. It's about Act Blue, and in a bigger manner, Act Blue is the the donation system used by the Democrats, and we started uncovering that some time ago. I could mention a couple things about that, but and maybe I'll wait till we get Mark on here to talk some more about it. But Act Blue has laundered millions and maybe billions of dollars through the system over the past, I don't know, a decade or more. And what Mark uncovered was what he calls these magic mortgages. And we're going to get into that here with Mark in a moment. But this reminded me of this post I put up back in December of 2022. It was the first post out there, the first story on these donor mules. A guy by the name of Chris Gleason reached out to me, sent me his information, and I was looking at it and I started saying, this guy's right on. And so we put it up. What we found is that there were thousands of entries in the Act Blue. You can get the data. They have to funnel it to the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission. So you can get the data there. It's supposed to be free to the public. And you could see then that there were these small dollar amounts that were flowing from people like in the state of Washington that were making numerous entries a day. And the odd thing was these people didn't have jobs. We could see that because there's one of the fields you have to fill out when you donate money. And this money was funneling from Washington, the state of Washington, to a Democrat senator in Georgia. We didn't understand it, but this guy got 22 million this way from individuals across the country sending like 10 entries a day, less than $100 or around $100. And it didn't make sense. I think the small amounts, so it could funnel it through the system without any big entries that would target some review. And so thousands and thousands of these entries were flowing to the Democrat senator in Georgia during the race then. I don't know if it was in 2022 or the year before in 2020. I think it was 2022. And we just nailed this. And since then, James O'Keefe went out and saw these individuals, visited these homes of these people, and they were like elderly people. There were many of them on like Social Security that had no idea that their name was being used for donations. So that's when this story, I think, started, and it's gotten really big. And then Mark and his group started looking into it. So let's bring in Mark Fincham, good friend from the state of Arizona, Senator Mark Fincham. Mark, welcome here to Dr. Maria's show. Great to have you.
It's good to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. You're looking good. Always a handsome guy there, Mark. I always thought that about you, for sure. But you don't have the hat on today, so.
No, I got a little sun. I got a little sun last weekend, so now I'm not looking quite as peaked as I have. Yeah.
So big story today. Big story. And why don't you tell us what you guys found?
So this goes back all the way about 15 years ago. A gentleman by the name of Sean Taylor was at the time a HITA agent that's for the Gulf Coast HITA team, which is high intensity drug trafficking. And he began studying the flow of money, excuse me, the flow of money, and it all seemed to come back to Scottsdale, Arizona. And it was the movement in money. Where was it going? And the big question was, where's all the drug trafficking money going? Well, it appeared to be going into politics in Tennessee. And then Tennessee turned into Arizona, and Arizona turned into other states. Some of them we don't really want to talk about quite yet, partly because we don't have enough U.S. attorneys that have been confirmed. But I think that and by the way, this isn't just Democrat. This is Democrat and Republican. This is in the election system. It's actually in government. So all three branches are affected, and at every level, from the counties all the way up to the Biden administration. But this, I think, goes all the way back to Barack Obama and the architecture that they set up. So here's what it looks like. Fast forward about 12 years. Several years ago, Sean was introduced to me after his house was shot up. 16 rounds from an AR-15 in the front of his house. Why? Because he was getting a little too close to the truth, at least in the Tennessee realm. So what he discovered, and we have gone through, and you may recall a lady by the name of Catherine Austin Fitz from years back. She's actually looked at Sean's work and has validated, saying, yeah, you guys are right over the target. You're exactly right. So the way this manifests itself is you'll have the sale of a piece of property. Let's just call it 123 Any Street for $300,000. And when that's recorded at the county level, you have a deed of trust from the lender. You have an Alta insurance policy for title insurance. You'll have a mortgage note. You'll have a deed, trust deed, because you get the trust deed cleared and you get free title, the free deed, once you've paid off the mortgage. Well, one of the things that's usually recorded, in fact, almost always recorded in that transaction at the county level, is the lender. So let's just say, I don't know, TD Bank. It's not an American bank, so I guess I can insult them. So TD Bank does the mortgage. Then the next thing you know, on the very same day, that $300,000 house suddenly has a recorded mortgage for $300 million. But there's no lender listed. That's an indication of a bank wire that comes into a title company and is transmitted someplace, because we're not law enforcement. We're a private 501c3. In fact, if people want to know more about us, they can go to the URL goefi.org. So because we're not law enforcement, we don't have access to platforms like FinCEN, which tracks large transactions that come into, flow through banks and then flow out of banks. So we don't know exactly where the money came from. We don't know where the money went, but we do know that because of this piece of property, the individual who held the property had possession of that money. That's as far as we can go. And that's one of the reasons that we have now briefed a number of U.S. attorney folks. Some of them were in the Biden administration. They basically blew it off. We've also sent the briefing package to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Pat Patel, and to the folks at FinCEN, the FBI Crimes Office, and the IRS Criminal Division. So this is everything from wire fraud to mortgage fraud to filing false records and probably even tax evasion. Because, and this is what doesn't make sense in the whole equation, probably won't until we get into the investigation phase of this. What we've done is provided a research project. We're not licensed investigators. We're very careful to not call ourselves that, because in most states, investigators are regulated. You have to have a license to look into bad stuff, okay? Well, we're just researchers. And what we published, the limited document that we put out today that went along with the press release, shows that we have this repetitive behavior on the part of board members of Act Blue. Now, that's just one small segment of this. Some of the work that we've done to take a look at a snapshot of the last 10 years, about $163 billion just for these 5 or 6 individuals and a select number of properties. So when you start ticking off $300, $400, $500 million for a property that's maybe worth $200,000 to $300,000,
it doesn't make sense.
This is a problem. So
yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah.
In my own instance, in 2015, I ran for the House of Representatives in Arizona. Now, I ran clean elections, so that election I think was about $52,000. Mm-hmm. The election that I just had for a state Senate position, not very different. 10 years later, over $200,000. Why is that? Well, because there's a lot of money that's being pumped into the election system that shouldn't be there. I found it very interesting that here about a month ago, the Arizona Democrat Party said that their fundraising is down to 25% that it has been in years past. That's about the time USAID money dried up. That's about the time we started socializing the message about this particular investigation, this research project, whatever it's going to be called. But we've now briefed some of the highest levels of the federal government. We tried to brief some state attorney generals, and they took the information and decided to do nothing with it other than persecute our lead researcher, Sean Taylor, and that would be in the state of Tennessee. So I'm ready to call out the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation as an absolutely abjectly corrupt organization. They're looking at this guy because, get this, they're investigating him because he opened an investigation of public corruption.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. This fits in. It doesn't make sense. this FinCEN, I remember, looking into that in my days in audit and finance. And as I recall, I even had to supply information to them every year with one of either my jobs or my personal business or whatever. They keep track of large transactions. It has to be recorded, et cetera. So I'm familiar with that. But this story is just unbelievable, Mark. We knew that they were funneling, like I said before, they were funneling these small amounts through these, what we call voter mules or donor mules. And we've caught that. And then O'Keefe went and visited these people. We find out a lot of them were like elderly, didn't have a clue that their name was being used for laundering money that way to these candidates on the other side of the country. These people probably didn't even know about. But now you're kind of bringing in this whole thing about the mortgages. And there's been a lot of work on this. I know one guy, Jason Goodman out of New York, was doing a lot on this. He caught Letitia James. He looked into that. And there was this girl named Bish, I believe, out of California, who wrote me a couple years ago about Adam Schiff. He has a property sitting in Maryland, and he says that's his property and that's his residence. But at the same time, he's a U.S. House member from California. So he can't be both. Either your residence is in Maryland, and therefore you don't qualify to be the representative, or it's in California and you're lying about your mortgage in Maryland. We thought it was kind of bizarre. The house wasn't a real fancy house. And I just wouldn't doubt that if Schiff is involved in this too. And this one guy looked into some other people like Raskin, Weissman, and others. And it seems like all these guys have these, some of them aren't real fancy homes, and yet they're having this issue with their mortgages. They keep doing things with their mortgage. They're recording a new sale or a new refi or things like that. They were very unusual. I wonder if it's the same stuff. What are your thoughts? Does that make sense?
So, by using this system, it's a way to fly under the radar. But one of the things that because of my experience in law enforcement, 21 years with the DPS department in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Sean as a retired police deputy chief, but I was also a realtor for a while after I retired from law enforcement. So I know the system. And when Sean came to me and says, this isn't making sense, and showed me what it was, I saw it makes perfect sense. Because you're using the title company to run these transactions through. The title company just does nothing but receive the money, hold it in escrow, and distribute the money. That's it. Okay. Yeah. And county recorders in most states are prohibited from doing anything other than recording a document as it's presented to the county. But here's the poser, and this is the one that really began to get the juices flowing about 2.5, 3 years ago. Don't you think, as much as county boards of supervisors or county commissions love to spend other people's money, tax money, on roads and parks and all kinds of things, don't you think that they would be alerted to a $300 million windfall in property tax? Yet they weren't. So that tells me that there's somebody in an assessor's office who is either covering it up or the transaction is somehow being avoided with visibility. Well, then one of the strangest things that happened, and thankfully, and Sean is a very talented, probably one of the most talented criminal investigators I've ever met. And I lived that life for quite a while. So I would like to say that's a compliment coming from me. He captured screenshots of the county's documentation through LexisNexis. Now, the court system trusts LexisNexis because it's so reliable. Yet when he goes back 30 to 45 days later, the documents have disappeared, and that is after Donald Trump was elected. Now, as Mr. Bannon would say, there are no conspiracies, but there's also no coincidences.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at this, and it's like the only explanation is that it's an inside job, or that these records are being hacked from the outside. Now, here in Arizona, Adrian Fontes, the fraud of a Secretary of State, just admitted to the legislature here last week that the Secretary of State database had been penetrated by an illegal actor. So that tells you anything that's online can be penetrated and can be altered. I mean, and so when we hear people say, well, these election machines, they're secure. No, they're not. No, they're not. Yeah. I think we proved it by the insecurity of allegedly some of the most secure systems out there. So now we have this situation where they're using, we're calling them magic mortgages because they appear out of nowhere and they go nowhere. They just show up and they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and and if it was legitimate, there'd be a record of the mortgage itself and all the additional documentation that goes along with it. All the forms that you have to fill out whenever you make a sale. There'd be agents. I'm sure there'd be records of the agent, perhaps agents on both sides of the transaction, all sorts of stuff, title information. So it appears that the only information that's being recorded on this is in the title company. There's some sort of title record of money flowing from between a couple people's hands.
Mm-hmm. Well, this appears to be, and this is where another thing that got very interesting, appears to be centered out of Scottsdale, Arizona, in a building that allegedly houses a title company. Yet when a Department of Real Estate auditor paid a visit to that place, there was a piece of paper on the window that said, you're going to have to call this phone number to speak with somebody with our company. All they could see through the window was a server phone. So this is an extremely sophisticated money laundering and cash distribution machine that has been set up probably over the last 10 years. Because when we map out the relationships between individuals and 501c4s and non-government organizations, NGOs, it's enough to give you a migraine to see how all of these are interconnected. This is, like I say, an extremely sophisticated money laundering system that has been pushing money into all three branches of government. Goes into judges. You want to look at why do we have some of the craziest judicial opinions and judicial decisions? Well, money does a lot of things, including corrupting a man's soul. Then you've got legislators. I mean, some of my colleagues, I'm just dumbfounded at why they would vote to adopt a bill, and this is in Arizona, but adopt a bill that prohibits the hand counting of paper ballots on election day at the precinct level. And moreover, why would a Republican governor sign such a bill? That's insane to me. But it does call into question, where are the financial influences? And I'm no Pollyanna. I know that money speaks to a lot of politicians because that is what you have to rely on to get your message out. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And I think we've uncovered the means by which corruption has entered the system, and that is campaign cash coming through magic mortgages. So we referred it to the U.S. attorneys. We've referred it to the Department of Justice, and we believe that this warrants further investigation.
Yeah, it certainly does, doesn't it? It's a no-brainer there. Great work by you and your team, Mark. We had an opportunity to kind of discuss this a few weeks ago, and I'm like, this is something else. And it does seem to be all tied to, this other work that's been done in like New York. This guy saying, what's going on with these big guys' properties, Weissman and Raskin and Schiff? What's the deal that they just keep getting mortgages and refis on these properties that you'd be surprised they even owned? Doesn't make sense. There's a lot. I think, Mark, you're just touching the tip of the iceberg here. What do you think?
As I've said to a couple of U.S. attorney candidates in some of the Western states, this is the dust on the paint. We have not even scratched the surface on this. And I shudder to think, if we do the math on just the properties we know about, the potential is there to run over over $1 trillion in money laundering over the last 10 years.
Wow.
And no wonder there was unlimited finances for individuals to come against President Trump, to come against me. I mean, in the closing days of the 2022 election, there were tens of millions of dollars that flowed into Arizona to try and defeat Kerry Lake and myself in our bid for governor and Secretary of State. Where'd that money?
Yeah.
It just showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
And
Now,
what was it used for? Yeah. And what was it used for as well? Yeah.
It was used for political hit jobs and dirty tricks. I have to wonder who got paid off at organizations like, and this is hypothetical, like the ballot printer. Were there any payoffs in the county? So I'm glad that this will be fuel, I think, to help intensify the fiery call for a federal grand jury, especially in Maricopa County, because I think this is one of the major inputs into election tampering and election fraud.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And probably some international influence as well. Hey, Mark, how can people help you out? Where can they reach out to learn more and help you?
Well, we've expended a lot of our capital on getting this work product out the door. If people want to support our work, they can visit us at goefi.org. That stands for the Election Fairness Institute. If you want to type in the long URL, it's electionfairnessinstitute.org. But goefi.org will get you there. We survive on small donations of people that make them monthly, especially when they click the box that says, make this a recurring contribution. $20 every month goes a very long way for us to get this work done and get more of it done. So if people want to make a donation, they can just click the donate button, and every dollar helps, keeps us going.
Mm. Mark, thanks for all your great work over the years. You've just been a huge asset to this country, nation, another great statesman. Please keep in touch and keep us posted on this. It's great to have you back on podcast here. So thanks so much. And on Lindell TV. It's great.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with another great American right after this.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Hey, this is Joe Hoff filling in for Dr. Maria today. It's an honor again to be here. It's awesome. And I love Dr. Maria. I love Rudy Giuliani and all the work they've done over the years. They're just fantastic people. Great having Mark Fincham on in this first segment, but I'm really thrilled to introduce to you our next guest. And I said before the break, another great American. This woman is one of the most courageous people I know, fierce, strong, and smart, and she's on our side, and I'm glad for that. So let me introduce to you Christina Bobb.
Hey, Joe. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Great to see you again. It's fun to have you on a show, and I'm filling in for Dr. Maria, as you know, and it's great to be here. And so thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Love you. Love Dr. Maria. Love Mike Lindell. Great Americans.
I'm telling you, yeah. I'm so happy to connect again. There's been a lot going on. I used to have you on. I had a radio show in St. Louis. I'd have you on there all the time. I loved it. And then I moved on to have a show with radio. It was called TNT Radio. It was a podcast out of Australia, actually. You'd be on that. And then I moved on to Lindell TV for about a year. And you were on that as well as on Conservative Daily at the same time. So great to have you on again and to talk. You've been such a great supporter of mine too, so I can't thank you enough. So I tell you, big news for you is, and we can get to what you're doing right now, but the big news is within a month or so, you're going to have a new book out, right?
Yes, I'm very excited about it. It's called Defiant: Inside the Mar-a-Lago Raid and the Left's Ongoing Lawfare. I was the custodian of records for the documents at Mar-a-Lago and was on site during the raid and was present with the discussions with DOJ and the FBI prior to the raid, about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks beforehand. And the story that the media told you, you will be shocked to know, is not true. So I'm really excited to get this out there and have it published. President Trump did the foreword for it, so he contributed, which I'm really excited about. The American people, it's time the American people learned the truth. I've got text messages, emails, I come with receipts. I've got a lot of my testimony. I testified under oath. This is basically sworn testimony. And yeah, so it's time the story be told. So I'm excited about it.
Oh my God. The picture is great. When I just saw that, I was like, man, that was great. It just makes you look like a, kind of, I don't know how I'd say this, mysterious, kind of like a movie star, but kind of like a Mission Impossible kind of person.
Well, that's kind of the feel I was going for. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. So you got to fill us in. Tell us as much as you can, if you can, about the book while we got you today. Maybe just fill us in on what you've been doing too. When I first met you, you were working for OAN. In Arizona, we just had Mark Fincham on.
Feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah,
I know.
I saw Fincham was on before. I love him. He's great.
Yeah, and that's when I met both you guys. I was like, what a couple great Americans.
Yeah.
And you were working for OAN. Your life just absolutely, it's been amazing since then. Why don't you kind of fill us in? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even look the same as it did then. I'm at Judicial Watch now, which is awesome. So for your viewers that know Judicial Watch, I assume that they love them. And for those that don't, you've got to look us up. An amazing organization that focuses on government corruption. It's basically a law firm that investigates and sues the government over government corruption. They uncovered Hillary Clinton's email scandal and a handful of other things. So it's a great place to land. I'm thrilled to be there. Tom Fitton is someone that people recognize all the time. So that's where I'm at now. And I have been kind of all over the place, going with the flow. That sounds calm and relaxing, but it was like a raging rapid for 4 years. But yeah, so I got pulled into obviously the Mar-a-Lago case, but also the other Jack Smith. So both Jack Smith investigations, the January 6th stuff, as well as the Mar-a-Lago raid, I was subpoenaed in both of those and saw behind the scenes, under the hood, whatever you want to call it. And then I also got hauled before Congress on the January 6th committee. I was subpoenaed several times in lawsuits relating to either Rudy Giuliani or Donald Trump and January 6th. In 3 years, I had 9 matters against me. And I wasn't a party to all of them, but I was either subpoenaed or a party. I was sued by Dominion. Thankfully, that's over. It was a crazy year. So apart from the New York cases, I pretty much I was involved in all of the other lawfare against Donald Trump and against myself and many of my friends and Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows. I'm still being prosecuted at the moment. My mugshot, I don't know if you can see it over here, but I'm still fighting that prosecution. The indictment's been thrown out, which is great. So they don't have a valid indictment anymore. But she's still trying to bring a case forward. She's appealing. She's the Arizona Attorney General. I mean, she's doing everything she can to try to destroy us for no valid reason. So been fighting that. So that's the alternate elector stuff. So everything from January 6th to the alternate electors to Mar-a-Lago to Jack Smith, it's all in the book. And I give you the play-by-play, and it exposes a lot.
My God. I remember talking to you a couple years back, and you happened to be the person they called to go to Mar-a-Lago that morning that they raided the president's home.
Yeah.
I just saw this weekend, I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was, can't remember, but there was this question, and it was, why did they go to Mar-a-Lago in the first place? Is anybody asking that question? Because we reported on it that time. I think Kash Patel actually came out with it, and Jim put it up, was that he was saying they were here because they wanted to steal what Trump had. They were thinking Trump had the documents from Crossfire Hurricane, and that's why they raided. So anyways, you know better than me. Can you fill me in on, on all of that? Tell us your story if you can, of what happened that day. Yeah,
I mean, it could have been. It very well could be that they were looking for specific documents. It was definitely a weird investigation. It was not a lawful investigation, in my opinion. I don't think it was an honest attempt to find truth. I think it was a pretext for something else. What that something else is can be debated. At the very least, I think it was to try to make Donald Trump look like a criminal, the obvious that actually happened, right? Whether there was more to it or not, very possible. Their behavior at the raid was suspicious to me, in the sense that they wouldn't let me see what they were doing. They wouldn't even let me inside anywhere. They made me stand on the Circle Drive out in the heat for 8 hours or whatever it was, however long it took in the hot Florida summer, and would not let me observe what they were doing, which to me was odd. They're not required to, but it's odd. Wouldn't you want me to see what you're doing so that I can't then claim, or nobody can claim, that you planted evidence, or, and I'm not saying that they did, but who knows what they did, right? They wouldn't let us watch. So it was kind of weird. Yeah, the situation was weird, but they would not let me observe anything.
That was outrageous. Plus they didn't provide you the warrant, right? They held it away from you. You kept asking for it or something?
Yeah. They tried to keep it from me, and I successfully negotiated that. It was pretty heated, but they eventually gave it to me. So, but yeah, they didn't even want to show it to me. They were very arrogant. Like, the level of arrogance that they displayed was shocking to me. They acted like they own the place and there's nothing you can do about it. And it was just, I was shocked. I was just absolutely shocked at the level of arrogance they displayed.
Do you think they were FBI? Or did they say that's who they were?
Yeah.
Or do you think it was another FBI entity? I just wondered if there was some other guys that snuck in there too. I don't know.
So I only interacted with two or three of the agents, and then I interacted with a couple DOJ attorneys. So I know DOJ and FBI were there. I mean, if they detailed someone from another agency there or not, they may have. I don't know, but DOJ and FBI was running the show.
Yeah, I just noticed your mugshot's behind you right now. That's cool. I
Yeah,
just saw it again. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so that was amazing. You told me before they had you stand out in the heat. They wouldn't even let you stand in the front foyer where at least it could be cool. They didn't let you see what's going on. You mentioned this other thing, though. You said they could have inserted something. Well, we reported right away. I got some intel that said, hey, it looks like they've inserted some documents here because they took this picture. It goes up on the New York Times or one of their corrupt media entities, and had these folder heads on it. And this person said to me, those wouldn't be there. That doesn't look right. There's something, they inserted that to make it look like this is top secret classified stuff. And it really perhaps wasn't. And they threw this stuff on the floor to make it look like this stuff was just laying around. And that wasn't true either. So what do you think of that? Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly right. I saw them. I mean, they carried them in a clear Rubbermaid bin, and I describe all of this in the book. But yeah, they're classified cover sheets of different levels of classification. And yeah, I saw them carry them in. So now, if you check court records, the court records say DOJ claims that those file folders were on site. So all I can say is I saw them carry them in, I saw the picture, and then I saw them carry it out. Now, were there other classified folders on site? Honestly, I doubt it, but I don't know. But at least in the interest of, good journalism, they claim that those were on site. They claimed that in a court record. I did see them carry some in, though.
Real suspicious stuff. That's all in your book. I can't wait to read it. It sounds amazing.
And even more so, I think that's really important for people to understand the book is what happened beforehand, because the meetings and the discussions that took place the weeks before the raid, there was absolutely no reason for the raid. The raid was completely unwarranted. Now, they had a warrant from a judge who had recused himself from a different Trump case because he had a conflict with Hillary Clinton. He was a Clinton supporter. So he had recused himself earlier, and then he signed the warrant. Like, why didn't he recuse himself from signing the warrant? I don't know. I don't know. But maybe he felt like he only had a conflict because Hillary Clinton wasn't involved. I don't know. But that there should never have been a warrant for this raid. And I'm curious, I don't know this, but I'm curious if a lot of the information that Tulsi Gabbard is now disclosing, if any of that was relied upon in trying to get the warrant, because it's fake information. And the affidavit that was used to present to the judge to get the warrant is largely redacted. We don't have that information. So
that's outrageous.
So
the president couldn't even see that. Could the president ever see it? You couldn't as his attorney,
he and his legal team, once he got indicted, he and his legal team should have had access to it. So I hope they've seen it, but I don't know. It'd be Todd Blanche. I mean, Todd Blanche ran that defense. So I hope he's seen it. But
wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that whole case then unwound in Florida, and we had Judge Cannon over. And finally, we didn't have an Obama judge that was corrupt as hell. We had a good judge, and the left went after her like she was a villain. It was everything's upside down with these guys. And she just started asking questions. And then the day or two after Trump's shot, she drops the case. But there was a lot of questions she started asking them. Were you following that pretty closely?
Ultimately,
they were lying, was my understanding. Right?
Oh yeah, the whole thing was a lie. Everything about the case was a lie, and I think I break it down pretty well in my book. But she dismissed the case because Jack Smith was never properly appointed. So, I mean, none of this should have happened.
Yeah, he was in this special counsel role. But was that not the same role that Mueller was in? Is there a difference between Jack Smith and Mueller as far as special counsels?
Well, I don't know how
No.
I don't know how Robert Mueller was appointed. I didn't follow that one as closely as Jack Smith because I was living Jack Smith. But
Mm-hmm.
it is also possible that no one challenged Robert Mueller's appointment. It very well could have been just as bad, but no one challenged it, so it was allowed to progress. And Mueller never brought charges, so nobody was ever a defendant in that investigation. So, but yeah, there's an issue with these special counsel that they say they're independent special counsel, but they're either beholden to no one or they're beholden, in Jack Smith's case, to the White House. I mean, was Biden calling the shots, or was the political apparatus calling the shots? Who knows? So that was the problem.
Yeah.
He had no oversight to anybody.
Yeah, I've heard some stories about him overseas as well that weren't really real flattering as well. I don't know if I can't validate any of them, but I heard some things that he did over there that sounded like they were criminals. So I don't know. This guy, he was a sleazeball, wasn't he? He screwed over one of the, was it the U.S. senator? Was he involved in, was it the Ted?
Bob McDonnell. The Virginia I think it was the Virginia governor's race, right? Yeah, he did the same thing. It was the same MO.
Just trying to destroy their image before the race, right? Before the election.
Yeah, and he did. He lost. He was unsuccessful in his conviction because it got appealed up to the Supreme Court and was unanimously overturned. But he was successful because Bob McDonnell didn't get elected governor. I mean, he dropped out of the race because he had to defend himself in court.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous, this stuff. I'm thinking there was, that's happened before. They did that to Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Obama did. They indicted him days before his election. I just wrote a piece about a young lady who's like 30 years old in Florida, young, upcoming not U.S., but state representative, did great work, was behind the Disney cases and the human trafficking cases. Really impressive young girl, and they went after her. And the state went after her for some bogus charges, and then eventually,
in Florida,
2 days in Florida, 2 or 3 days before President Trump's inauguration, the DA under Biden in the same district indicts her. Her last name's Amity. It's a crazy story how they're doing this. It's so outrageous what's going on, and they do that right before she lost her election because there was this tarnished record, and I don't know if the election was stolen anyways, but that's why sad.
That's why Yeah, for sure. That's why what the Trump administration is doing now with investigating Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and all those guys, it's so important because they're not going to stop if they're never held accountable. No. And the question is not, do you want to prosecute Obama or not? It's, do you want to prosecute Obama or do you want Obama to prosecute you? Because I can tell you, mugshot right here, they will prosecute you. If you do anything to oppose them or if you do anything to push back on their power, they will prosecute you. And they're only getting more brazen and more bold. So we've got to stop it. And the only way they can stop it is to prosecute them.
Absolutely. Throw them in prison where they belong. Don't be shy. Just uphold the law. That's all we're asking. Just uphold the law. I think it's one of the most important things that's going on right now with Trump's team. It's that, and then we got to prepare for the next election. The elections, too, which got you into this mess. You just were there with OAN, with a legal background, looking at this stuff, saying this stuff's crazy. And then you get indicted there in Arizona. It's just, you were a reporter then. I mean, I don't understand how that
it's crazy.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it's so bananas. And in their disclosures of, they have to provide the evidence of what they're going to use against you. The only thing they provided against me was my media reports. They literally indicted me for my media reports.
So much for free speech, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No. No. There's no free speech. No free speech.
No.
You can speak freely as long as you say what we want you to.
That's right. Yeah. That's outrageous. That's happening quite a bit everywhere, really.
All
it's outrageous.
Over the place. That's all over the place.
Yeah. You mentioned jumping off to a different topic. You're with Judicial Watch now. Really like Tom Fitton. Another guy that I really liked for a long time was Chris Farrell.
Oh, I love Chris. He's a very good friend of mine. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, I really like that guy. I interviewed him once on my show here on Lindell TV not long ago, and I
Yeah.
really like him. But the thing that I remember about him, and I think he remembered it spot on, it might have been his end of days at Fox News, was he said back during the Russia collusion, do you remember this? He says, we need to shut down the FBI. We need to shut it down, start a new entity over here under maybe the U.S. Marshals or something, but it needs to be shut down. I couldn't agree with him more. I couldn't agree with him. I think it's still applicable today. I think
Yes,
it needs to be
100%.
shut down. Get these people out of there, start from scratch. And I don't know if that's what they're doing now. I have no idea, but they need to get rid of so many people. I heard that here's a story kind of related to this. Maureen Comey sticks around in New York as if under the DOJ, and she oversees the Epstein case, the Maxwell case, and then the more recent one with P. Diddy. And
The
you're like,
Diddy
man,
case,
why is
yeah.
yeah, and so the rumor is, and actually Roger Stone said this the other day. He says, "Well, I really think with the Epstein stuff, the documents they've been destroyed by Christopher Wray." And he says, then he said Trump needs to unseal all these documents, the grand jury documents, and all this, because that will tell the story. And he said, but Maureen Comey had him under seal, or has him under seal. That's why Trump then a week ago asked for these cases, these documents to be unsealed by the DOJ. Now they're going through a corrupt court system in New York. It's going to be a while before they can unseal those. But, that's the result of keeping somebody in a position. Maureen Comey shouldn't be anywhere near our DOJ after her dad was fired by the FBI. There's too much of a conflict there. I'm sorry. We couldn't do it in auditing. Why are we letting this happen in the legal profession? I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more people that need to be fired from DOJ and the FBI. I'm hoping whenever Dan Bongino reveals, what he has, he keeps teasing that he has all this information. I hope at the very least it leads to a lot of people losing their jobs, because the way our FBI and Department of Justice has been operating for the last several years is unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. So people need to get fired.
They need to be arrested, thrown into prison. The stuff they did to these
preferably,
Sixers,
those with
right?
probable cause.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. The worst I heard, I interviewed this guy a few times, Kuhn from Kansas. He was there on January 6th in the Cap. You were there on January 6th, right? Were you reporting then from OAN? Or?
Yeah, I was reporting from the Capitol. Yep.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I was there. Well, no, I know. It's funny. Well, I did eventually get arrested. It just took a couple years. But I was reporting from the Cannon House office building, which is where AOC works, where she was like, "Oh, I feared for my life." And there's absolutely nothing happening at the Cannon building, at least when I was there. And I left. It was so boring and so quiet that I left to go out front, on the lawn, to see maybe there's people arriving after President Trump's speech. Let me do some man on the street type interviews. So I stepped outside and I had my phone. I told my videographer, I said, wait here, don't bother moving all your equipment yet. Let me go outside and see what's going on. And if there's some good interviews there, then I'll call you and you can bring the equipment out and we'll do that. So he said, okay. So he waited. I was out maybe 10 minutes. I went out to the lawn in front of the Capitol and I saw a little skirmish, not bad. People were starting to get a little rowdy, but the police presence was so big, so vast that I was like, oh, the police have this, they'll shut that down. It wasn't a huge disturbance. So I called my videographer and I said, hey, why don't you come out? Let's do some interviews out here. And he said, they've secured the building. We're not allowed to leave. They're sending everybody to the basement. We can't report on anything. So you're on your own. So I had my cell phone and I could put stuff on social media, but I couldn't even report back to my news network. Wow.
And you get arrested for that. Outrageous. It's just outrageous. What you've been through is just a nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It has been an absolute nightmare for sure.
I mean, I could talk to you for hours. I wanted to mention to people before we let you go that you're going to be joining us here in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas. Can't wait to hear
I cannot wait.
share
I'm so excited. Yeah.
We got a lot of great
Yeah.
guests there. You can see that. General Flynn, Rudy, Roger Stone, Dr. Maria is going to share. Mike Lindell, he's going to give a testimony the next morning on Sunday morning, which will be great. And you see Mike Davis and yourself and Dr. Gold and Peter Tickton. I see David Clements, Jim and I there. So should be a great time. We're looking forward to it, working hard on it too, for that matter. So
I cannot wait. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope all the viewers come and join us.
I know. Hope so. We got a couple weeks to go. We still have some tickets available, so we're happy to have anybody come join. It's going to be fun. It's going to be on fire. I mean, Vegas is hot in August, but it's going to be on
really
fire
going to be
with
hot
us there. Yeah, it's a neat facility. So, anyways, hey, thanks so much for joining us. It's so much fun to have you here to catch up. I could talk to you for hours. I want to know more about your story. I can't wait to read your book too. So. Real honor to have you here. So glad you're still standing too. This has been a rough 4 years, so we can celebrate together in Vegas for sure.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Thanks a lot. And thank you all for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to be here for Dr. Maria. We'll be back on Wednesday and with another great lineup. So thanks so much. We'll see you then. Have a great evening.